Hey guys, so today's video, I'm actually going to be going over some of the questions that you all should be asking your real estate agents before you hire them, right? It's very important to do your homework before you hire an agent. I have some questions here, 14 of them. Actually, as a matter of fact, 13 of them to be exact. And we're going to go through them real quick. So if you have any questions about these questions or about anything else I've done on this channel, by all means, 407-308-4518. Shoot me a text, give me a phone call, or send me an email at peter@flreagent.com. So you guys already know who I am. My name is Peter with Heroes Real Estate Group. So let's go ahead and get started and jump right into it. So question number one is, can I see your real estate license? You'd be surprised how many people have never asked me for my license. The fact of the matter is, listen, you got to protect yourself, your safety, your family, and your home. So anytime you meet with a real estate agent to, hire them or potentially hire them for a job, listen, ask to see their license, go on the DBPR website, and actually verify that it's still active. So it's for your safety, so go ahead and do it. Number two, can you pass along a list of referrals? Listen, every agent should have a list of referrals at their disposal, ready to be given to any potential client, just to make sure that, hey, listen, they put their best foot forward. They put the list of referrals out there just so you, as the seller or buyer, can contact those people and honestly just make sure they're legit and they're for real and they do what they say they're going to do. So listen, what I usually do is I ask the client if they would like it written, on email, or by text. That way they can go ahead and readily access it later on after the interview's over. So always ask for a list of referrals. Next, what is your listings average days on market? Speaking for myself, I know my average days on market for the past 12 months are around 32 days. And what that means is from the moment that you list a house to the moment that it sells, how many days are there in between? So you want to know that because that tells you whether or not the agent is actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. If they're actively marketing and actively selling the house and not waiting for someone to come buy it, then those days on market are going to be low, usually less than 45 days. That's a good number to have average days on market, simply because that means your agent is actually working. So next question. So what is your list to price ratio? So that's important because if you list a house for $200,000 and it sells for $100,000, that's a 50% list to price ratio, which basically means that it sold for half of what it was listed for. Obviously, that sometimes happens based on the fact that some properties are just overpriced. But most of the time, when you don't have a sales ratio that's above 94%, that typically means that the agent either sucks at negotiating or they never really put forth the effort to market the property to find that perfect buyer. And they actually probably even incentivize you to take a lower offer just to get the sale done quicker. So again, you don't want to deal with that. My typical, sales or list to sales ratio, list price to sale price ratio is between 94 and 98%, meaning that I negotiate for my clients to get the best rate possible or the best terms possible for that deal. And you should be looking the same in the agent that you hire. Next, have you sold neighborhood or houses in this neighborhood? Listen, this question is a tricky one simply because I do not believe that simply because an agent has not sold a house in a particular neighborhood that they are not able to do it. All you have to find is an agent that's willing to put in the work. If an agent tells you, listen, I have never sold houses in this neighborhood, I don't know if it's going to work, and that's your thinking, you don't know if it's going to work because they've never sold houses in that neighborhood, you should ask them the follow-up questions of, are you willing to do the work to get familiar with the neighborhood and the area and the zip code to effectively market the property? If they give you a good plan to go ahead and do that, then you know what? Give them a chance, might as well. That means that they're hungry and they have the tenacity to go ahead and get it done. I've done that because there's not always been the case where I've sold houses in that neighborhood. However, I'm willing to put in the work. So you should find an agent to do the same. Have you sold homes in this price range? Again, that kind of goes back to the same thing of the neighborhood. Just because an agent hasn't sold a house, in a certain price point, let's just say 300,000, 400,000, 2 million, 7 million, as if they're willing to put in the work and they know what kind of marketing goes along with that, right? Then they're more than likely going to be able to do it. It all comes down to putting in the work and knowing what avenues to take, what mediums to use to advertise the property. I'll get into it here in a minute, but marketing for a $200,000 to $2 million house is essentially the same. It's just a matter of what mediums you use because that'll better connect with other people, all the other groups. Certain mediums will connect better with a certain people than other mediums will, so keep that in mind. Next, how long have you been in real estate? Me personally, I've been in real estate for 4 years. I've been in, I was in insurance before that and recruiting before that. So I've been in some sort of sales for about 11 years now, and I love it. Now, just because an agent is a new agent also does not mean that they're not able to do the job. All you have to find, again, is someone who's willing to do the work, who has a good plan, and is willing to go out there and honestly get their hands dirty to get it done. So even if it's a new agent, sure, be weary of them only because they are a new agent. But if they show the tenacity, the plan, and the drive to go ahead and get the job done, you might as well give them a chance, because some of these newer agents are going to be better suited to sell a house in today's market just because of the technologies that we're using nowadays, rather than some of these 30-year agents that are still living and rocking like it's 1990. So keep that in mind. All right. Are you a part-time or full-time agent? Listen, some part-time agents, like some people call them, or what I call them, are dual career agents. They have to do that simply because they're in between careers, right? They're switching from one career to another, and when they're jumping into a 100% commission-only industry like real estate is, they have to do something else to pay the bills. So I wouldn't penalize a part-time or a dual career agent, but I would definitely ask them the questions of how available they're going to be to actually do the job that they need to do for you, whether it be buying a house or selling a house. If they have the ability and the time to do it, then you know what? Give them a chance. Why not? As long as they have everything else, everything else checks out, and they have everything else in line in terms of their plan to get things done, their marketing, and blah, 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 right? For me, myself, I'm a full-time agent. I've been full-time for the last 4 years, and that, helps a lot. But again, don't discount an agent just because he's part-time, just because, they may actually be better than some full-time agents that have been doing this for 30 years. So remember that. What's the ratio between buyers and sellers that you represent? For me, I do about 66% listings and about 33% buyers. And really those buyers come from the listings. So anytime there's a listing out there, someone asks about it, or someone, drives by, goes to the open house or whatever, that's where those 33% of buyers come from. So I focus mainly on listings and getting the listings done and over with, get them sold. That's why the active days on market, or the average days on market for me, are about 32. But you know what? That's a good question to ask them, because you don't want to go to an agent to simply list a house because, you believe that they're going to be amazing at listing a house when they work with buyers, let's just say 80% of the time or more. That's just, they may not work out just because they don't have that much time and experience doing that. So you want to find yourself an agent that has about a 50-50, if not better, in terms of on the listing side, percentage of, between buyers and sellers, just to serve your purpose better as a listing. For buyers, it's pretty easy to work with buyers. But you still want to ask that question to make sure you know what they specialize in. Will I be working with you or directly with you directly or with the team? Listen, when everybody calls me, they call me, text me, directly to me, my email. All right, they get my email, they get my cell phone, they text me, and they call me directly. Even if I have someone else working on a particular step of the transaction, whether it be documents, paperwork, inspections, communicating with one person or the other, that information is always relayed back to me, and I always relay it to my client. Why? Because you hired me, right? You didn't hire Susan or Norman or Patrick or whoever else you want to name. You hired me. So it is understood, and it is appropriate, in my opinion, that if you hire an agent, you deal with that agent. So ask them that question, just simply because I believe that when you deal with the team as opposed with the agent which you hired or whom you hired, I believe that it creates a little bit of a disconnect there. And on top of that, your agent, may not at that point know you as well as they think, and you may not know your agent as well as they think, simply because when information gets passed down from person to person, it gets skewed. That's just human nature. So again, asking that question is very important. Next, how do you plan to market the home? Listen, like I mentioned earlier, marketing a home for a $200,000 home and a $2 million home, it's almost the same. It's all about what mediums you use. So for example, if you have an awesome video and you have awesome pictures for a $200,000 house, and you have an awesome video and awesome pictures for a $2 million house, it's gonna look about the same, except if the $2 million house needs something extra, some more pizzazz, just because, the picture and the videos don't do it justice, then you may want to incorporate a 3D tour of the the $2 million house, just to show off the high ceilings, the intricate detailing, the amazing view, whatever the case may be. Now, I'm not saying that a $200,000 house may not have that, but $200,000 house, especially in the Central Florida area, you're not going to be looking at typically no more than like 1,600 square feet. I think a video and some pictures are going to do it justice, and it's going to connect with the audience that is going to look for that type of property, as opposed to the audience that's going to look for a $2 million house. It's all about connecting with the audience. So the medium itself is going to determine what audience you best connect with. So remember that and ask those important questions. Next, almost done here. Do you have vendor partners in your network? Listen, basically, it's pretty simple. Do you have anybody that you can contact if I need something? That's really what you're asking the agent. If I need an attorney, do you have a real estate attorney handy? If I need an inspector, do you have an inspector handy? A pest guy, do you have someone handy? Every real estate agent should have their network. And if it's a new real estate agent and you're looking to hire a new real estate agent, listen, their broker has a network and they can always tap into that one. Most agents do. If you have an agent that does not have a network of their own, and doesn't have a network, to be able to use from their broker, then you may want to reconsider your choice, just because when you need something done, especially during the sale of a house or while you're buying a house, you need it done like that. So you don't want to wait, you don't want to put that off. So remember that. And then finally, how your realtor's fees work. I'm done with this paper, so let's throw it that way. But listen, realtor's fees, everybody knows that, listen, and I'll say this, all fees are negotiable in terms of commission and fees and brokerage fees and all that. They're all negotiable. So don't let anybody tell you that there's a standard X%. I'm not even going to say it because I disagree with it. And I can actually get in legal trouble for saying it. So listen, there is no X% standard. I personally, my commissions, my fees, they vary. I have an actual range because it varies on the difficulty of the situation and as well as your situation as a seller. If you're a seller, and if you're a buyer, you don't pay commission. So it honestly doesn't matter. But whatever commission comes into the listing office, that gets split between two offices, and then those offices split it between the broker and the actual agent. So really it gets split 4 times, which is why some of you look at some of these commission rates that some agents are telling you and say, well, that's really high. And that's only because, listen, the agent itself, himself or herself, is only going to get a portion of that. However, I will say that there is no standard, there is no legal standard. If someone tells you I will not do it for anything less than X%, which I know exactly, you guys know exactly what number I'm talking about. I'm just not going to say it on here. But when somebody tells you, I won't do it for anything less than this, you pay me this or that's it, it's not going to happen. And listen, it's all negotiable. I guarantee you'll find someone else to do it for less. That's not saying that they're going to do it for less, value and effort. However, you will find someone to do it less. Now keep that in mind, and I will close on this. Don't ask someone to sell your house for nothing or for free or for honestly peanuts, because if you had a job, most of you have a job if you're watching this, right? More than likely. So do the exact same thing that you do right now, but I want you to do it for X amount less or X% less. Will you do it? The chances are the answer is going to be no. So keep that in mind. Ask these questions to your real estate agents next time you want to go hire one. And if you have any questions, call me, text me, or email me, 407-308-4518. Peter@flragent.com. Peter with Heroes Real Estate Group. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, and we'll talk soon. Bye.